This is our ADA presentation of the Suzanne H. Arnold Art Gallery, presented by Becky Ireland, Corey Parsons, and Rebecca Tans. The art gallery is located at 101 North College Avenue in Annville, PA. Some of the content of this presentation will be street parking, the entrance, the inside of the gallery, and the accessible toilet room.
This parking spot is located on the street next to the art gallery. The handicap spot is closest to the building. It is marked by blue paint on the sidewalk next to the spot and by a symbol painted on the street. There is no access aisle for this spot. The spot was only 5 feet 11 inches wide, so it did not meet the 8 feet wide requirement. The slope was on the corner of the sidewalk and not next to the actual spot. And there was no sign with the international symbol of accessibility by the spot on the sidewalk. The two handicap spots in the parking lot located down the street from the gallery both met the width requirement. One was 9 feet 10 inches, the other was 10 feet 10 inches. These spots were the two closest spots to the sidewalk. They both had signs with the international symbol of accessibility, and there was also a sidewalk ramp for easy access to the pathway. The parts that didn't meet the regulations was that there was no access aisle for either spot, and neither spot was designated as van accessible. Solutions include adding a slope to the sidewalk for the parallel parking spot so that it is easier to get out of the car, repainting the sidewalk next to the parallel parking spot, adding a sign to the spot with the international symbol of accessibility on the sidewalk next to the spot, and for the two spots in the parking lot, we could add access aisles and also make the spots van accessible. The ramp to the main entrance meets the width requirement of 36 inches. The slope is a 1:15 ratio, so it meets the 1:12 requirement. There's a 60-inch landing at both the top and bottom of the ramp. The handrail was round with a 2-inch diameter, and there was a curb on one side of the ramp and a wall on the other to prevent the passage of a 4-inch diameter sphere that may be on a crutch or a walker. The parts that didn't meet regulation was that the handrail was too low and was under the minimum of 34 inches from the ground. It did not extend 12 inches beyond the ramp on either side at the top or bottom, and the handrail on one side was hard to reach due to the large curb. Some solutions include replacing the handrail so that they meet the height and length requirements, and also lowering the curb so that the handrail was easier to reach.
So first and foremost, the main entrance of the building was accessible, so all guests would be able to enter the building through the main entrance. If only one door was open, the main door provided a clear opening with when the door was opened at 90 degrees. The door had a front approach to the pool side, but there is over 18 inches of maneuvering clearing space provided. The entire surface of entrance was level except for a small vertical raised threshold, but exactly met the requirement. The hardware on the door was a handle that could be easily turned to open the door and did not require much force to open. The handle on the door was also 37 inches off of the ground, making it easily accessible from a wheelchair or standing position. There was also a non-slip mat immediately before the entrance that was not higher than a half of an inch thick and was also securely attached to the floor below. The only thing that did not meet the requirement was the lack of an international symbol of accessibility near the door. A solution for this would be to place a sign with the international symbol of accessibility on it near the ramp coming towards the entrance. The seats at the art gallery for their presentations or performances can be arranged in whatever order needed for the event. It provides exceptional seating accommodations for any guest. The light controls can be operated with one hand with minimal force applied. The switches are also at an optimal height. Once inside the building, the art gallery itself has two main entrances. Both were up to code and were wide enough to fit a wheelchair through if need be. The fire alarm system were scattered throughout the building and were equipped with flashing lights and auditory signals. Additionally, the art gallery did not have water fountains or public telephones generally available under general circumstances for guests that could be assessed. A few things that did not meet the regulations were that the building lacked an elevator to go from floor to floor. There was also a plaque hanging on the wall in the gallery that described the nature of the building, and this lacked Braille. When inside the gallery and looking at the artwork from a perspective of someone sitting in a wheelchair, it was difficult to read the labels that were up above. There is also not a ramp to get onto the recital stage. Therefore, one can only access the stage by going up a small set of stairs. So a few solutions for this would be to install a tactile sign beneath the current plaque that contains Braille to make it more accessible. While guests primarily are on the main floor of the building, installing an elevator or lift may be beneficial when trying to accommodate to all populations, in case there is a need to go to the lower level of the gallery. With reference to the descriptions of the artwork, if you were to lower the labels, it might be difficult for a person standing to read them. A possible solution to this may be to provide a full description of each piece of artwork displayed in the brochure that is handed out upon entrance to the gallery. Lastly, implementing a ramp possibly not near the front of the stage but behind the stage would allow all individuals to have access.
Overall, the toilet room met most of the ADA requirements. There were 2 sets of bathrooms in the art gallery. The one we looked at was the only one that was ADA accessible, as the other one was down a flight of stairs. There is an accessible route to the toilet room from the main doors of the art gallery. When you first approach the toilet room, the first thing in view is a signage on the door. The sign includes the international symbol of accessibility. Additionally, the text characters contrast with the background, making it easy to see. The text underneath is also raised with Braille and is able to be felt while seated in a wheelchair. When trying to enter the toilet room, the handle meets ADA requirements as it is equipped with a handle that is operable with one hand and does not require the person to twist their wrist. Additionally, the handle met length requirements and did not require excessive force to get into the bathroom stall. One of the biggest positives of this toilet room was that it provided ample amount of space inside for any assistive device, including a wheelchair. There was a clear path to at least one of the fixtures. Also, the space was large enough for someone in a wheelchair to turn in a complete circle, which is 360 degrees. The pipes underneath the sink were insulated with a yellow foam so that somebody's body parts, such as their knees and legs, would not hit the metal pipes when they were underneath the sink. There were also 2 grab bars located in this toilet room, one to the side and one to the back. The one on the side wall met all the height and length requirements. There was enough space for someone to grab onto it without their hand hitting the wall. The grab bar on the rear wall also met all the measurement requirements. While most of the toilet room met the ADA requirements, there were some aspects that fell short of meeting them. The mirror on the wall was higher than 35 inches above the floor, sitting around 40 inches. The length of the sink was 2 inches too long, which prevented someone using a wheelchair from being able to get close enough to use the faucet. The towel dispenser cannot be operated without twisting the wrist. There is a turnstile that needs to be turned in order to get the paper towels out. According to the regulations, the toilet flusher should be on the open side of the water closet. The one on this toilet was not on the correct side. While it is ADA accessible, it did share a space with a coat room, and most guests of the art gallery are directed downstairs to use bathroom facilities. In order to adhere to ADA requirements, there are different measures that can be taken. The mirror could be lowered around 5 inches to meet the requirement. Also, in order for someone to fit the wheelchair under the sink so they could wash their hands, the sink could be replaced with one that was shorter in length. A shorter lavatory would also allow someone in a wheelchair to be able to get far enough underneath to be able to have access to the soap, faucet, and paper towels. Since the paper towel dispenser is not operable without twisting or tight grasping, an automatic dispenser could be installed so that it would be more accessible. The flush control should be on the open side of the toilet. To meet requirements, the flusher can be moved to the opposite side than it is currently on.
For an overall summary, the building was generally ADA accessible. A few major suggestions for change are more accessible parking and accommodating the descriptions of the artwork.